Hey friend, it's Ange here, and today's episode is going to be a very vulnerable episode for me. I have re-recorded this episode so many times because I truly have felt very nervous to share the information in this episode. And I think it's just because of the vulnerability around it and like letting myself be seen this way. But it's something that I'm working on more about being my real self. And I've noticed even as a speaker, the moments that I am brave enough to go to those darker places and share those parts of me and parts of my story, the more that connects with the audience. But it takes a lot of courage to show up that way. And I feel that courage in myself right now. And with courage, fear shows up there too. But courage is moving forward with the fear. So here I am doing that. And on today's episode, I specifically want to talk about how we have these seasons of life where we just feel very weary. We feel tired trying to manage all the things that we are trying to manage. And sometimes we find ourselves not knowing what to do to make things better, not knowing what to do to move forward in our lives, or what's the best thing to do given the season. So I want to touch on that. And if that's something that you're experiencing, I really feel like this episode will help you, or at least that's my prayer. So it's been difficult for me to show up consistently on the show, not just because of dealing with, the childcare situation with my son and all of that. Like that's one dynamic that we're figuring out. But truly, the biggest reason why I haven't been able to show up consistently on the show is because my energy. I just have felt like when I go grab the mic, like a lot of times there's been these technology issues that I've never experienced before. My mic's not recording. This one thing isn't connecting right. And I just really feel like I was trying to force it, trying so hard to make it happen. The other day I was so frustrated because I couldn't get my mics and stuff to work. So I'm like, then my husband comes home early for work and I'm like, I'm not going to record around him. And then I'm like, oh, let's just go in the car and see if we can do something in the car. I get to the car and then the neighbor has their lawn mowing team showing up and it's like a crazy loud with everything. And here's an example where I really felt like if I would have stopped and just checked in with myself, I would have seen that it's not, these barriers were showing up because I felt like I was trying to force this. I was in the energy of like, let's check the box that we just do the episode and just get it out there. And like I've said many times in the show, and we heard this from Moshe Gersh, if you listened to that podcast episode with him, that the energy of the creator is in the created. And I would have been showing up from this energy of like, I'm trying to make this happen. And I'm going to stop right now and try to make this relative to you and your season that you're going through. Where are you doing that? Where you're showing up with the energy of like, I got to do this. You're tight gripping. And it's like, remember, the energy of the creator is in the created. And it's about like, what kind of energy are we showing up with? What kind of energy are you putting into things? And sometimes it's just a matter of stepping back and being like, what energy do I want to bring to this? And it's not always like you need to bring this really high energy, because I actually feel like this podcast episode, I'm not feeling the high energy. I'm not in the full anabolic range. But what I decided is I'm feeling like I'm okay with like showing up with this energy of maybe some sadness, of maybe some pain that's there. And that just feels more intentional than me trying to force something to check a box and sound like I'm all positive when I'm not. Like that wasn't feeling good to me. And God was showing me through all these different barriers. And I think sometimes in our lives, though, like that can be a crutch for people where they can be like, well, I guess it's not supposed to happen for me because all these issues have been showing up. And I think this is where we need to sit back and be like, why is this? And really tune into yourself. Is it because I'm being taught to work through this and keep going no matter what? Or is it that, hey, maybe I do need to sit back. Maybe I do need some time to think through. Maybe I am forcing this. And it's being shown to me that it's so freaking hard because you are doing something, you're carrying something that you're not supposed to be carrying. What if that was the reason why you lack the peace? What if you're doing the work in a way that just isn't serving you? What if it's that? What if it's not the work itself that is bad or hard? It's the way you're doing it. It's the way you're showing up through it. It's something to think about, and I'll dive deeper into this. So, these past couple of months have just been very challenging for me in ways that I didn't expect and I didn't see coming. And that's kind of how it works. There's I was listening this morning to Stephen Furtick from Elevation Church, and this podcast episode, or not podcast episode, this YouTube video was a sermon. It was a live sermon that he was sharing. Just hit me in so many different ways that I was like, I wrote so many notes, and I'm like, I got to talk to you about it. And we're going to go there. We're going to dive into that content. But he talks about this story from Chronicles in the Old Testament, and it's the king, and I forget his name. Regardless, there's a king, and he was facing a battle, and he didn't know what to do in the situation because he found out like, oh, this whole army is coming to attack you, and he's like, I don't have the resources, his team of people that he had, like, I don't know what to do in this situation. I wasn't expecting this. And that's kind of how it works. Like, the enemies in our life, the things that show up and happen that suck, it's like we didn't expect that to happen. So it's really interesting because in his story, what he ends up doing is he goes to God. And I think we need to learn from him, because a lot of times when stuff sucks in our life, we like search around for someone to go to, someone to like comfort us. And it's like, let's go to the maker of all the things. And that's something that I needed to be reminded of in this season of my life. When things really sucked and I didn't know what to do in the situation. I didn't know what to do to make it better. And I was feeling like I just couldn't be my normal self. Like, I couldn't grab the mic and talk to you and be all inspirational and positive because I didn't feel that way. And I felt like I didn't have anything to offer. And even just saying that like hurts me. But then I remember the reason why I'm showing up today to share this story with you is because I remember other people showing up with the courage to share their story when they weren't feeling well, and how much that helped me. Or bringing up things that really hurt them and allowing themselves to be seen, and how helpful that was to me. And it's not always like the high energy that you need, like to have something be helpful to you. Sometimes it's the lower energy that you need for something to be helpful to you. And this is where I want to remind you that there is no good or bad energy. There's just energy. And what is great is when you intentionally decide to show up and decide how you're going to handle that kind of energy that comes in your life. The goal isn't to just immediately change it. That is not the goal. The goal is to choose how you're showing up through it, not just reacting. All right. So I'm going to go back to my notes here with the Chronicles. It's 2 Chronicles 20 to 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, like it goes on and on. So if you just check that out, if you are interested in learning more, this is where that story is going to come from about the king. So he goes and he calls out to God, and I really feel like I need to pull up these verses so that you can actually really let them soak in, because it was so helpful to me. How it's going to help you is it going to help you think about how you show up when you don't know what to do, when you don't know what the solution is or how to make it better. That's why I want to really be clear about what is here. So let me look that up real quick, because I think it's really important to tell you exactly what was said. I tried writing my notes as quickly as possible, but it didn't work. Like, I didn't capture it all. So, let's see. All right, hold up. So this is what he says. He calls out to God. He says, "Our God, will you not judge them? For we have no power to face this vast army that is attacking us. We do not know what to do." And listen to this last part. "But our eyes are on you." He's saying here, I don't know what to do in this situation, but I'm going to look at you for you to help give me some wisdom. And then I'm on ChatGPT right now. I love ChatGPT. And I'm telling it to tell me the next verse, the next one. And then it says, all the men of Judah with their wives and children and little ones stood there before the Lord. So in this moment, they're like, I don't know what to do. But they all went, like, they stood there and they're like in front of God and was like seeking this wisdom. You didn't see them running off to anyone else for the advice. That wasn't the first move. And now we're going into the next verse. It says, then the Spirit of the Lord came, and all these other biblical names that I'm not sure how to say, so we're going to disregard those. Isn't that funny how there's always so many of those? And then I'm going to say next verse, because basically they talked to all these people with these weird names, and then he said, listen, King Jehoshaphat, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and all who live in Judah and Jerusalem, this is what the Lord says to you. Do not be afraid or discouraged because of this vast army, for the battle is not yours, but God's. And that was so powerful for me to hear, because in this season of life that I've been experiencing, and I'll tell you some of the details here in just a bit, I feel like what I've been doing is trying to carry it all by myself. And I think in this verse, this is what God is saying, is that this is not all on you. The battle isn't all yours. And I wonder if we grow weary. This is what I heard Stephen Furtick talk about in his sermon that I just loved. He said, I wonder if we're growing weary and we're tired because we're doing work that isn't ours to do. We're trying to take on some of the God stuff when it's not ours to take on. I see this all the time, even with my career coaching clients who I love so much. It's like trying to control this whole situation. You're like tight gripping it galore. When it's like we can loosen this grip because we know who's in control here. Like, yes, you do need to do the work. Like, there's an example that Stephen Furtick had talked about with lifting weights, and it made me laugh, but he said that he went to the other pastor who used to be a physical therapist, and he said his elbows hurt because he had been lifting so much weight. And he's like, I guess I can't lift these heavy weights anymore, or that heavy of a weight. And he said, the pastor said to him, no, it's because you are tight gripping the weights too hard. That's why you can't lift more weight. If you would change how you approach this situation, if you would change the way you are doing this work, then you could lift more weight. It's like, whoa, what a cool metaphor for life, because I wonder if we're doing that. If we're tight gripping things, trying to control it, and that's why we're so tired, and that's why we're so exhausted. And we're trying to take on all these things that aren't ours to take on. And we're not letting God come in. And we're looking at all these other people for all these answers, when it's like the best thing to do is go to the maker who created all the things. And this is where I love this, because again, let's listen to this verse. It said, do not be afraid or discouraged because of this vast army. Don't be afraid of all this crap that's happening in your life, these challenges, and the worrying about what could happen if you don't fix this stuff. Because God is saying here, for the battle is not yours, it's God's. This isn't your battle. Oh my goodness, how good would that feel if you knew this whole army was going to attack you, and it's like, hey, this isn't your battle. I'm going to fight this one for you. Whoa. Like, that just felt so good for me to hear, because I think I've been so exhausted because I've been trying to carry it all by myself. And I want to go deeper into this. I have so many notes about expectations that we are placing on ourselves, comparison, looking at other people's lives, acting like we should be farther along because they're in this one situation because of the story that we're making up about them. We don't even know their life. We don't even know really what's going on. And I want to say that because I think even a lot of people will look at my life and think that just from a picture or all the travels that I do, that my life is so amazing. And they don't know the struggles that I have on a daily basis. They don't know that. I'm not always sharing all that information. And I remind that to myself, because I do that sometimes. I'll look at what someone else has or how things are going in their life, and I'll think like, oh, I must not be doing well, and I must not be doing good because of that, when you start to compare. And that's like work of the enemy, because God has decided for this season of your life, these are the things that you are going through for you to be who he wants you to be. There's lessons here. And he's doing work in you. He's having you use your gifts Like he's given you the specific gifts to use them in a way that feels good to you, that's in honor and honoring him. And it's like, here we are trying to compare what other people got. Like, it's like little kids that open a gift and they're feeling like their gift isn't good because they looked at someone else's and they're like, oh, well, like they're doing this, whatever with that. It's like, no, God gave you a specific gift for a specific reason. And it's not meant to be compared to somebody else's. So that's just another reminder that's there. Now, let's go into that next verse. Okay, hold up. ChatGPT is my best friend lately. Literally, I feel like it's like my personal therapist. I like type questions in the ChatGPT about how I'm feeling. And it's just literally like, I'm so grateful for ChatGPT. Okay. Now, the next verse is, tomorrow march down against them. They will be climbing up the pass of Ziz, and you will find them at the end of the gorge in the desert of Jeruel. So he's saying, like, go march, like, go towards this. Go towards this. Face it. So let's look at the next verse. Even though, remember, they weren't prepared. This army was way bigger than them. This problem was way bigger than they thought they could handle. And it says, you will not have to fight this battle. Take up your position, stand firm, and see the deliverance of the Lord will give you. Judah and Jerusalem, do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Go out to face them tomorrow, and the Lord will be with you. So this is what he's saying. He's telling you what not to do. Sometimes we're like, can you please tell me what to do? Tell me what to do in this situation. You pray for that. I do that. I just did that. I'm actually doing a fast right now. I'm on my second day. I'm doing 3 days of just a liquid fast. And for me, it's more of like a reset. It's a spiritual thing too. If you look through biblically, like so many times throughout the Bible, even Jesus is like, when you want to when you're stepping into a new season, or when you want wisdom, you want clarity, there's fasting that happens. So I feel like I need this so much in my life. So I'm the second day right now of this fast. And, I'm going to go back to why I told you that because I got a little bit distracted. Let's go back. So let's go back to, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Go out to face them tomorrow and the Lord will be with you. So this is what he's saying. Don't do. He's saying what not to do, because we're saying, God, help me, give me the answers. He's like, I'm going to tell you what not to do. I'm going to tell you right now, don't show up from this place of fear. Do not be afraid. Don't let that fear drive what you are doing. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. And you might be like, well, I feel scared. I feel discouraged. And he's saying, don't feel that way. Go out to face them tomorrow and the Lord will be with you. He's saying, I'm going to be with you through that stuff that feels scary. You don't have a reason. You don't have to be afraid, because there's no reason to be afraid. I think about the times I've told my son that. Lately, he's been having the whole stranger danger thing, that he recognizes people, strangers, and it scares him, especially if it's someone he hasn't seen in a while and they like laugh very loudly and they like just give a big sound that just seems scary to him. He will be like, what? Like screaming. And I'll be like, it's okay, Zion. You don't need to be afraid. It's all good. This is so-and-so and they love you. And they, it's like that, and I feel like this is like what God does to us. Like in seasons where we feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about what's going to happen in the future. I'm so worried about what X thing, like fill in the blank. And God is saying, like, you don't need to be afraid. Don't be afraid. And you're like, oh, I'm discouraged because this thing happened. And he's saying, don't be discouraged because I'm handling it. And I just find that to be like so comforting. All right. Now let's go. Okay. So the season of life that I've been in, let me dive deeper into a little bit more about why I've been feeling this weariness and around everything. I need to go back to these notes. We're just going to go through these notes, and I think I'm going to get to the story. It'll naturally come up. So how do I not go weary when I have this schedule is what I wrote down. It's like when I have all these things on my plate, like how do I not be tired? Because, in Galatians, it talks about not growing weary of doing good. So like, how do I not be, okay, that's like, and then Stephen Furtick talks about this as like, it's like telling someone who is sick, like, oh, well, get well soon. And you're like, okay. Like, I'll try to do that. Thanks. It's just like what do I really do with that? It's kind of like I feel like, like this is just something we just say, but when I go get on a plane, people will be like, safe flight. And it's like, yeah, how much of that is in my control? Thanks. It's like, I know they mean well, but you know what I mean? So, anyways, that's that. So, my notes say you think the reason you're weary is because of the work, but it is because of your worry of the work. That hit me hard. I was like, you're right. I'm tired because I'm worrying about what would happen if I don't do all of these things, if I don't manage all of it, if I don't hold up these expectations. Even with this podcast, why does it stress me out so much? Because I'm like, well, good podcasters show up consistently, and then no one's going to want to listen to me if I never, they're like, oh, this chick's flaky. She doesn't ever put out her episodes consistently. I'm going to go listen to somebody else. It's like that fear of abandonment, that worry. It's like, okay, I'm worrying about that. That's what's causing this stress and this heaviness. Because think about it on the days. I just read an awesome book. I'm hoping that Dakota will come on the podcast. This guy who wrote the book, From Foster Care to Millionaire. And I just read it in one sitting last night. And I know him personally, and I really want him to come on the show. But he has a story in there about how when he used to be a car salesman, he just remembers like the days where it was so exhausting when he like didn't do anything. Like he didn't really sell anything that day. He was all stressed out about it. And then he gets home and he's so exhausted. But he said the days that he sold a lot of cars and he had these great interactions with people, he came home and he was like so like up energy, could do so many more things. And my point is that he was tired because of the worry that was happening when he wasn't seeing the result that he wanted. And this is another example of where we're taking on God's work in that. It's like all of the things that do happen ultimately are because of God. Yes, we need to show up, but it's like we're trying to control the situation, and that is stressing us out. We're tight gripping stuff we're not supposed to be tight gripping. It also reminds me of when I used to run track and I would hold a baton, and you pass it off to your next person. I remember one time my coach saying to me, "And don't grip that baton so hard, because if you grip it so hard like that, you're expending so much energy and you're not going to be able to run as fast because you're trying to spend energy on the gripping of it." And it's so true. It's the way that we're doing the work that is a problem. It's the wrong priorities, putting expectations on ourselves that are worldly, that are of comparison of, because it's me, even with this podcast, comparing, well, this is what other people do. They're consistent. Oh, she has a baby. She manages to show up and figure it out and show up every week. Like it's this comparison. And it's like, no, don't forget, like God has you on your own journey. And he's working and doing things in your life, like in this season, that are going to help you be who you want to be in due time. So this is where we need to talk about the verse that is so good. And it's one you've most likely heard, Galatians. I've been alluding to it. It says, "Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up." So we need to talk about this. In due season. What does it mean by in due season? Due season is God's timing. But what many of us want is for something to happen in our timing. We want to tight grip it. We want to control it. But if you got to see what would happen if it was in God's timing or if it was in your timing, you'd always want what happens in God's timing. You'd always want that. In my life, and I know this has happened in your life, where you may have wanted something and at one point, and you later you're like, thank you God for not giving me what I wanted at that time, because then I would have settled in that job, or would have settled in that relationship when I could have had this amazing thing instead. But thank you that you knew better. Thank you that you had your timing in mind. I think it's good to be reminded of that. And then it says, "Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." So the key thing is here is we will reap. We're going to benefit if we don't give up. So another quote that I wrote down that Stephen Furtick said, which I'm like, oh, it's so good. Where did I underlined it, so I need to go back and I boxed it in. Where did I say? The chronic urge to quit is a sign something needs to shift. Ooh. I've been feeling like that in my life, that I want to quit. Like, I want to quit all the things. I've literally, like, I've dreamt about just like running away. Like, that's in the season that I'm in, with a lot of things going on. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but I've felt that way. Like, I'm like, I just want to run away. But then I'm like, wait, I love my child. I don't want to leave my child, of course. Like, I love my husband. I don't want to leave him. I just feel like so many things lately are not ideal to me, you know? And again, I'll tell you a little more about that. But this really hit me. The chronic urge to quit is a sign something needs to shift. Okay. So what is it that needs to shift? When you have this desire of like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this. I don't want this. It's like, I just want to quit. I want to quit this job. I want to quit this relationship. I want to quit this thing, whatever it is. There's a sign that something in you needs to shift. For me, I realized it clicked for me. My priorities need to shift. That's what needs to shift. It's like really putting God first. That's what I felt in my heart. And also it's like the expectations on myself that I've been placing. I'm tired because I've been trying to do all the things in this way that I felt like was expected of me. You know? And it's like, what does God expect of me? And where am I carrying all this other work that isn't mine to carry? And also there's times where I feel like I take on this responsibility of wanting everyone to feel good, even in my household. I don't like it when my husband's stressed. I don't want my son to be sad. It's like this controllingness where it's like, that's not mine to carry. That's their stuff that they're working through. But I always want to show up and like fix the things. And it's tiring. It's exhausting trying to manage everybody's emotions. Let's say you put on an event. You want everybody to have fun at that event. It's tiring. I've seen that from other people that are amazing hosts at events. It's hard for me to speak on that because I don't feel like I have that gift, but I've seen it where like my sister, let's say, who's great at like putting on events, and where she can find herself sometimes where she's not enjoying the event because she's like, well, I just want to make sure everybody is happy. They're having fun. I'll go around. Oh, you want a latte? I'll go make you a latte. Like, that's how my sister really is, you know? And, it can make it so then you're carrying on all this it's like this control and make sure everybody feels good. It's not yours to carry. And I wonder what else you're putting on your plate that isn't yours to carry, that someone else should be carrying. That's because that's their thing. And also, what is God's to carry? It's like, you're like, even think about the energy when you approach a situation. Like, I've been thinking about that with me. It's like, let's say am I showing up from this faith-based place when I'm trying to get something done, or am I showing up from this fear-based place? Like, what's happening there? Because the other verses that we just talked about was talking about, don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. I'm with you. So it's like, if you're feeling that, he's simply saying, don't. I know, easier said than done, but that's really what he's saying. Don't, because I'm with you. This is my battle. It's not yours. You're acting like you need to gear up. You got to fight. You got to do all these things. It's not yours. Let me fight the battle for you. Gosh, that feels so good to think about. It's like, oh, I don't have to fight this battle. Thank you. So really, what are we going to do then in this season? Is like, instead of feeling like you have to all figure it out right now, you got to do all the things, it's all on you. Let that go. It's not on you. What if you can just be in this season? What if you can just focus on your relationship with God and listen to what the wisdom that he wants to share with you in this season? And then you'll be led and know what to do. And he'll tell you. But right now, what he's saying is, don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. This is my battle. That is so comforting. Okay. What else do I got here that I wanted to share with you before we go? I know there's more. I think I'm going to have to do another episode on this because there's so many more notes that I have here. And this was so helpful to me to hear all of these things. And you're probably wondering, okay, Andrew, you're going to tell us what you've been going through. So I'll tell you a little bit. A couple months ago, I had been going through this process of wanting to like get all my healthcare figured out. Like, I was like, every spring you're going to go and you're going to do your annuals on everything, right? Your contacts, your eye exam stuff, your check-ins, your hormone testing, like all the things. Like, every year you have a set time. And I'm trying to create systems in my life. So I ended up going in, and I had TMI for some people, is I had just started my first period since I've had my son Zion. So it's been over 10 months. or it was like 9 months. And this is about the time I stopped breastfeeding. And I was like, okay, like hormones, shifting, all the things. And they had talked to me about if I wanted to have like another child soon, or what was my process going to be with that for birth control, all the things. And I was like, like I want some space to heal my body, I feel like, still, and like get things set up, my childcare and a lot of other challenges that I've been having before I bring another baby into the world. So they talked me into like going on birth control, which I don't want to go on. But anyways, I ended up almost doing that. And when they did a test to put you on birth control per the protocol, my test came back positive. So I was like, what? This is absolutely insane. Like, I was not expecting this at all. And then I had to come and do a bunch of blood work. And it was like several weeks of me dealing with trying to figure out what was going on. And long story short, like there was a part, like I was like, okay, this is going to happen. This is what God wants for me. Then I was like excited. And I was like, we'll figure it out. Even though the childcare, all the things, I'm like, we'll figure it out. But then I ended up finding out that I was having a miscarriage. And I it's weird for me to say this because I didn't think I was going to get emotional about it. But I really, like, I wasn't in my plan to have another child, so it wasn't like I was like, I want to say this because I know some people experience this and it's like they desire the thing so bad and they're not getting it. That wasn't my thing. I wasn't desiring that. And I want to just have empathy for those that have desired and lost. So for me, it was like I wasn't desiring it, but I had this loss. And then I didn't think it really, I was like, okay, I feel peace about this. I can just move on and continue down my path. And then I was bleeding excessively for weeks, like 6 weeks. And we had these different people that wanted me to come in, these specialist situations, to make sure that like maybe I'd have to go in and have a surgery or whatever. So it was like all these unknowns. I had to keep coming back and getting blood work done. And it was just hard for me because it was also, my husband was gone for a couple weeks on a trip. I was by myself. So I had been dealing with like trying to handle my son, all these other things. And then I had a speaking event that was coming up and that meant a lot to me. And I had hired a videographer to be at that event, and shout out to anyone that was at that event. But so it was just important for me. And so I was traveling away from my baby and just trying to figure out all this stuff. My husband wasn't around. I've just felt very alone in all of it. And, yeah, so now things, I truly feel peace about everything. It actually showed me I want to have another child sooner than I had originally thought I would. And I'm figuring out those things, the logistics of all like the care for my son and the home dynamics. And I've been moving forward on that. But there was this feeling of just wanting more like emotional support. Like I just felt like, and I don't feel like my husband knew what to really do in the situation to like say to me, because I was feeling overwhelmed with all the different things and all the different expectations and pressures and feeling like I wasn't doing good at anything. And just a few days ago, I had a blow up situation that showed me it's like, yeah, and your energy is out of alignment. We were closing on a property, and this was like part of my other vision. And I'm proud of myself because I do move forward on everything that is important to me, and it's evidence of that. But I was able to, with some of my business money, purchase a property. And it was solely from my income from my business. So I was like, I felt really proud that I was able to do this, four apartments basically. And, which is a dream. It's cool to be able to think that I can help provide housing to 4 different families. Like that just makes me so happy with my business that I've created because of doing something that helps people. It felt really good to be in that moment. So I want to say that there's that blessing, that greatness of it. But as we were closing, I had gone through, like, I had to do so much paperwork to get to this point because I had to move all these different accounts. It's been months of doing this stuff, and it's really fallen on me because my husband, is working, and he can't access these accounts. These are my business specific accounts. So on top of everything I've been experiencing, I've been trying to do that with everything, get this property figured out. So the day of closing comes, they say everything is good to close. We get there and they say, oh, well, you actually moved money from an account that we're not familiar with. So the bank was like, we're not going to release the funds so that whatever. So the seller could get her money. So it was like, okay, so we're actually not going to be able to close. And it was like, we're going to need all this additional paperwork. So it was like of 3 different banks that I have gone through in the past. They wanted all the statements from that. And I had been sitting in the closing place for 4 hours with Zion. And I was just so like, with him crying and wanting to grab everything off the shelves, and he knocked some pictures off, and it was like all the things with a little kid. And I mean, my husband was there with me, but so I went home and I had to figure this out, and they still didn't get what they wanted. And I was so frustrated that I had to drive back and forth between the title company, the house, and this person that I was talking to on the phone who I had a relationship with because we had been doing this process for a while. She's so super sweet, like super, super sweet. And I just told her, I was like, I'm so frustrated right now. I'm so pissed. And I started like, I'm just like, this is taking so much of my time. It's taking more of my time. I'm embarrassed that we can't just close right now. I feel bad that I'm putting this burden on all these other people. And you can tell that I'm just overwhelmed with all the things. It was an additional thing. I actually swore on the phone to her, keeping it real, not a proud moment, but I was like, this is effing insane, I think is what I said. So it wasn't actually to her. And I told her that. I was like, I'm so sorry. This is not me being upset at you. And she's like, oh, do not apologize for being a human. And I know this would be so frustrating. She was validating to me. But then later on the day, I got on the phone with the lender, and because it still wasn't resolved, and we had to do all these extensions and stuff. So I get on the phone, and the thing that bothers me the most, I know it's like, okay, it's done, Ange, there's nothing you can do about it. But when you know this feeling, I'm sure, where you have a lot on your plate, and anything that like adds additional time that you weren't expecting, like when you're already overwhelmed, when you already have so much, you're like, where am I going to find this time? And it's like, it falls on you. It just feels like a lot. So I told him that on the phone. I said, I got to be honest with you. I'm so frustrated because I feel like this is a communication thing that should have happened. You guys should have communicated to us exactly what you need. You told us we were good to close, and then now you're saying you want all this additional stuff, and it's wasting all these people's time. I think there was a communication gap here. And I'm really frustrated because now it's going to add hours onto my life, of like things I have to find when I'm already struggling trying to manage all these things. So I like went on a rant, and I'm like pissed on the phone and telling him all these things. I raised my voice, I didn't swear to him, but I'm sure I wanted to, but I didn't. And then my husband was on a 3-way call because he was out going to leave to go hiking, and I was at home. And after the call, the guy was like, I totally understand, whatever. It was all good. But I didn't feel proud because I was like, you really were like yelling on the phone, And then afterwards, my husband was like, yeah, like, I'm not going to lie, I cringed a lot with the way that you handled that. And I felt so hurt because I was just like, yeah, I know I did act like cray cray. In that situation. Like, I didn't swear, but I was like, this is ridiculous, like this is a waste of my time, and I just kind of like raised my voice. And my husband, I even kind of yelled back at my husband on the call, mind you, because he's on 3-way, and he said something like, it's okay, Ange, he gets it, like, because I kept trying to explain the situation. And he said something like, I don't remember what he said, something like that, and I just like stopped, and I was like, no, because you know what, none of you are going to have to do any of the work. Like, it's on me to do. Like, you can say, oh, it's okay, we just get the stuff and we figure it out and move on. But I know how many hours that's going to take of my time. And I know how I feel now. So I was like that mom that like flips out when you're like overworked. I was doing that on the call with both of them. I know, it is cringeworthy. So my husband said that, and I was so like hurt because even him telling me that, I was just kind of like, yeah, you're right. Like, I did act a fool on that call. But I also like, I feel like I just want someone to validate me. That's how I felt. And I think about so often with my clients when they're telling me all these different things they're struggling with. And I just the feeling of validating and being like, of course you would be upset. Of course you would be afraid. Of course that would be hard. It's like someone just validating you is like the best feeling. And I have a coach I work with. Like, I get that. Like, I'm moving forward. If someone's like, if you're listening, you're like, you need help, Ange, I got help. Don't worry, I got help. This is me being legit vulnerable with you about how I was feeling. And it's just I think it's like the combination of all the things. I want to remind you of that too. It's like, it's not just one thing that causes your energy to like shift down. Usually it's a combination of all these things. And this is where we come back to that quote that I highlighted and loved from today. Let's go back to it. The chronic urge to quit is a sign something needs to shift. Because for me, I was like, I literally was like, I messaged a person. I was like, back out. I want to back out of all of this. Is that possible? I was like, I'm done. I want to quit. Mind you, this is like a dream. Like this is for me to be able to do this, to help, to provide this kind of thing was a dream of mine. It was part of one of my identity statements. If you're listening to the show from a while back, now I have this separate property business. I'm able to be this property investor. I'm able to help people get housing. Like that was a part of one of my goals and dreams. But here I was being like, F it. I was ready to toss this out. And I said, I want to quit. I don't want to do this. This is difficult. Like that's how I showed up in it. And it's like the chronic urge to quit is a sign something needs to shift. Me flipping out and acting like that, just like anyone that does, it's a sign you're out of alignment. What's going on here? Something needs to shift. And for me, it was like, yeah, like I had to sit back and be like, I lack peace because I'm not going to God enough. And I stopped and I was like, you're going to fast, Ange? That's why I'm doing this. I was like, God, I just want to hear from you. I want you to like comfort me. It's like, in a why, it's like, of course my husband should be like this person and your spouse. I really do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to should on you. SHOULD. That, yeah, they should be this person that is a supportive and you're in this partnership. I'm not saying my husband isn't. I am saying though too, it's like, I go like we do that a lot in our marriage and things where we want that other person to be a certain way. You got to be and act this way so I feel good. And I found myself even doing that with him. I was like, well, you should be saying this to me instead. Not saying, oh, that was cringeworthy, Ange. You should be saying this instead. But it's like, then again, me wanting, like putting that on him, tight gripping, trying to control. And it's like, wait a second. Like not that there's better ways that he could show up. Not saying that. I'm saying that, like, I want to go back to God and be like, God, like, I want my value, my worth to come from you. I want to feel peace from you first. I want to go to you first. My tendency is to go to all these other people. Go to my husband. You make this right. Go to this person, like this expert that can help me. Versus like, let's shift God first. I had that on my vision board this year. God first. And it was a sign for me lately. It's like, you've been lacking peace, Ange, because you're trying to do all these things that God's supposed to be doing. You've been lacking peace because you're not going to God first. You're going to all these other people and these things to find that peace. Go to him first, then seek out those other resources. And I would even say the same thing to my clients. Go to, like, you want me to, I know I have gifts and talents I can bring to the table and I can help you. I know that without a doubt. I've helped so many other people, but I would still sit here and tell you God first. Go to God first. And if you feel like it's aligned to come to me, then come to me. And if you go back, and I've actually listened to some episodes from people who actually were some of my favorite clients of all time. They have actually said that, and I prayed about it. I went to God and I felt like God was like, yeah, like go talk to her, work with her. And that makes my heart so happy. It's like, I want to do that too. I want to go to God first too. And these are signs. When we're flipping out, acting a fool like I was, it's a sign. Things are out of alignment. That's not you. That's not how you normally show up. That is not how I normally show up. It was so frustrating for me to be that person, acting like that. Okay. Whew, that was a lot of vulnerability shared here. I hope that you got something from this episode. And if you did, I would love to hear about it. I send you so much love and hugs in this season of whatever you're experiencing. Even if it's amazing right now, soak it up. Soak it up. Because, things are constantly shifting. And these moments we'll never get back. But everything is here to teach us something. I really believe that. So even in these hard seasons of life, it's like, oh, we can use this for our good. That's how God works. We can make things better. All right. I will talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you for being here. Have an awesome day. Bye.